The Democratic National Committee announced it has launched a seven-figure voter registration initiative ahead of this year's midterms. The program will train hundreds of young supporters to register new voters in battleground states like Nevada and Arizona. The goal, to close critical gaps in key congressional districts. Join us now, Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Ken Martin. Mr. Chairman, good to have you with us. So I'll let you flesh out this new initiative and also talk about how the news we're watching in front of us this morning and for the last week and the last couple of weeks in particular folds into the message you'll be driving.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And look, we're really excited about our new initiative. It's called the When We Count program, and it's really meant to address this crisis that we have in the Democratic Party. We've been losing ground over the last decade or longer now as it relates to partisan voter registration. In fact, the Republicans have done a masterful job of registering more new voters. And, you know, look, my job, of course, is to win elections. And to win elections, we have to create more Democrats. We can do that by persuading voters to support our cause, of course, and we can also do that by registering non-registered voters, get them involved in their democracy, make sure they're voting. And that's what we're doing now. I mean, this is the largest investment ever by the Democratic Party in partisan voter registration. And we're excited to kick that off, of course, in Nevada and in Arizona, and working with all of our 57 state and territorial parties to put plans together to make sure that we are actually registering voters in all parts of the country in the coming months and years ahead.
Chairman Martin, good morning. Two areas that were supposed to be strengths for President Trump, the economy and immigration. Polls now suggest he's underwater on both. And in particular on immigration, we have been tackling the last few days polls showing that the majority of Americans disapprove of what they're seeing in Minneapolis. You are from Minneapolis. You live in Minnesota. Talk to us what you're seeing there. We had another shooting and some confrontation last night. Obviously, we are now a week from the fatal shooting at that traffic stop of that 37-year-old mother, Renee Good. Talk to us, if you will, about what you're seeing there and your concerns going forward.
Well, look, unfortunately, I live in D.C. now. I had to move to D.C. For this job. So my heart breaks for all of my friends, family, neighbors, and folks who are going through this right now. And it's heartbreaking to see my city, Minneapolis, my community being torn apart. But what I would say, what I'm buoyed by is Minnesota is a very welcoming place. It's a place that values community. It's warm, not in terms of temperature, but in terms of its people who are very inviting. We have some of the largest refugee communities in the country who reside there, who are now being targeted and harassed. And what I've been buoyed by is seeing our community rally around community. That's Minnesota, when we talk about Minnesota nice. I think what we're seeing right now is, you know, for those folks who wanted this country to actually deal with the immigration challenges we have in this nation, this is not the way to do it. This is not sustainable. It's certainly not helping. It's creating chaos and division. It's pitting communities after community. And unfortunately, what it's doing is it's increasing violence, which is resulting in you know, people being murdered on the streets by their own government. So it's shameful for sure. Look, you know, last night, of course, what I would say, I want to echo what Mayor Frey said and Governor Walz said. You know, we can't give in to what this Trump administration is trying to do, which is trying to incite violence and create more chaos in our communities. We need to keep rising up and protecting our communities through peaceful protest. And that's okay, but we cannot do what these folks are trying to do. We cannot give in. We have to keep rising up and be peaceful in this moment.
So, Mr. Chairman, given all that, just to circle back to our initial conversation about this initiative and the midterms ahead, obviously what we're seeing in the streets, not just of Minneapolis, but cities across the country, is about people. It's about immigrants. It's about human beings and communities. But from your seat, it's also about politics and winning back power to hopefully stop some, from your point of view, of what we're seeing. So what is, I know every district is different, every state is different, but the message of affordability, but also stopping some of what you just described as chaos in the streets of America?
Yeah, look, I mean, I would say this, you know, the Americans are very squarely focused on kitchen table issues. We saw that last year. It's one of the reasons the Democratic Party had its most historic off-year election. We won elections up and down the ballot throughout the country. We overperformed at a historic rate at 13 percentage points. Certainly we have the wind at our back as we go into this midterm election. And what we're focused on, of course, is on affordability, on those kitchen table issues. We're focused on health care access for the American people. First time in our nation, we are actually taking health care away from people in this country. And we're also focused on fixing this corrupt and rigged system that only benefits those at the top. But in addition, I mean, when we see what this federal government's response has been throughout the country right now, with ICE being sent in, people are very concerned that basic human rights and civil rights in this country are being violated by its own government, right? And, you know, it's shameful. Just listening to the report earlier, hearing about, reporters' homes being searched. This is not who we should be as America, but it's unfortunately who we've become under this administration. And clearly, if Donald Trump thinks what he's doing in Minneapolis is going to help improve his poll numbers, I think he has another thing coming. And look, this isn't about politics for me. You know, this is about my home state being torn apart and being assaulted by masked thugs, who have no right to be there.
All right, Chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Ken Martin, thank you very much for coming on the show this morning.